All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Thursday Musings. Happy Thursday. Happy it is before work in the morning, so I am so fortunate that I get to work from home like almost half the week. Like it's pretty nice, but that doesn't mean that I can just mess around and do whatever. Like I still do quite a bit of work, but the thing is I end up doing a lot more work than if I were to be going somewhere because guess what? Once I'm done with this video, I turn around and I'm at my desk. If I need a snack or food or something, or if I start to fade or I'm not making sense or whatever, because fatigue will lead to lower work output, I can just go get a snack and feel good and continue on with my stuff. So I mean, there's just so many benefits to working from home. But anyways, I digress. Let's talk religion. Ugh, it is so uncomfortable, and and I understand why. It's because I grew up hearing these things like, oh yes, like if you live this way, you're gonna end up in heaven, or you're gonna like live this great life, or or God will like look down upon you favorably. And I think one of the biggest things that people, myself included, kind of misunderstand with the whole thing is I was just talking to somebody on the Facebooks about this in a random group, but like human beings are all alike, very similar. So when one of us, in fact, let's see. Oh yeah, that is looking pretty cool, but well, we need to be doing. Let's see, we need to be doing the altars. I was thinking like an entire little house. There's people not inhabited by villagers, but anyways, the whole idea that one religion is correct while the others are not. That's a total baby with the bathwater philosophy. Like, just because you don't believe a certain few things doesn't mean that the whole thing is garbage. Now, I still, to this day, stand by that I don't believe that Jesus was a god. That's it. And I think it was very important that Moses comes down with the tablets saying, thou shalt not kill, no idolaters, or no false idols or false gods. Because it's very dangerous. Like, we don't know who the real God is, but if the real God, well, one, if the real God has issue with it and can take action, then okay. But the problem with thinking that Jesus was actually God incarnate, like here on earth, means that God is close enough to be relevant in our lives. I mean, and maybe so, just not in the way we think. Like, I think there is some truth to whatever created us, imprinted enough information in our DNA to be like, okay, well, I'm going to act in this way. I'm going to treat others like this. But if I, do this, then I'm going to treat them like this. Like, there's a whole bunch of like, almost like computer programming, the way that we make programs run is like, if this condition is met, then do this bit of code. However, if this condition is met, do this bit of code. And then you run into problems like, well, what if both conditions are met? Okay, well, that's a third conditional. Like, if this and this, and you can get into a whole bunch of like long spaghetti code trying to like program that logic when there might be an easier way to do it. So, I don't know. And that's the thing, like learning computer science teaches you to basically use everything as an etch a sketch. Like you could be writing out a bunch of logic for an algorithm or trying to fix some problem and you think you got a really great idea and then all of a sudden you got to throw everything out. Like no. And that is a time when you do kind of have to throw the baby out with the bathwater because a lot of times it's just more efficient to just start over from scratch. Like if you've been going down the wrong way, people will, and myself included, will go completely bonkers trying to make their code work, like to continue using the code that they put the time and effort into, because it's like, oh, sunk cost. Like I don't want to just walk away from this. I put a lot of time and effort in this. However, and I have a specific example of this. It was in a formatting type thing. I had to deal with. I mean, it started as a simple like converter from seconds into minutes, hours, days, months, and years. And I don't even know if it went that far. It might have just been minutes, hours, days, years. It might have skipped months. But anyways, you could break it up however long you want. The problem and the complexity of it, and it was still just a medium level challenge. It was a blue challenge on Code Wars, and eventually I'm going to get to the point. I'm going to go back and like start doing some more videos like that once I get my studio set up because I had to move. It used to be in the kids' room, and now it's yeah, now it's like crammed in my room. And really, I'm in the middle of trying to move as well, or possibly, I don't know. My landlord's kind of flaking out, and I mean, he's a nice guy and all, but he's got some problems going on, and I'm not exactly in a position to be like, oh yeah, have your problems, and my life doesn't matter. Like, no, it very does matter to me. Like I need a roof over my head, my kids need a roof over their heads. So, and I pay good money to be here. I mean, and that's a ridiculous thing that we need to work as together as society is why expense or living is so expensive. Like rent and like home loans, property prices, it's all insane and it all needs a crash and it needs to go down. And I feel bad for the people that are getting all excited, like, oh, I have all this money and all this, but for what? Like you're gonna have all this money and equity and stuff, and if your kids already have like the ability to work a job and fend for themselves, then why do you need all this money? I mean, so and that's the other thing. And other people like, ugh, like the Trumps, the Bidens, all of them, like they need to just be taxed like $6 million or something. I'm just kidding. Like Biden's worth several million. He had a book, and people show their support by buying books and stuff. That's one way to get rich. Trump just inherited it all. He had a wealthy family that probably cut a lot of corners, did shortcuts, but they were legal shortcuts because they had lawyers on their side. People to understand the complex rules and loopholes, and basically a game that was allowed to fester because the poor people weren't involved in the decision making from the ground up. And that's what we need to fix now. Almost a new Continental Congress and make it to where every demographic is represented in government, not just the wealthy elite, because guess what? They're going to continue to serve the wealthy elite because guess what? It's them. They're going to think of them first. And I mean, in that whole trickle down idea, I hate that idea because it's like, okay, the top cup gets filled first. Well, the top cup keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the bottom cups don't really get filled. And that's what the problem of trickle down is. So imagine like that pyramid of glasses. Usually it's like champagne glasses you might see, and it's like they pour the liquor or some kind of alcohol or even drink. It doesn't have to be alcoholic, but usually only the people that are drinking alcohol do this kind of thing. But they'll fill the top glass and then it'll overflow and fill the glasses directly beneath it. And then those will overflow once they're saturated. They're completely filled. They're to the brim. And that's the problem is like we keep making the glass bigger and bigger. And I've seen some really good graphics for this where like the top glass just gets bigger and bigger. Like CEOs are taking home millions of dollars, like millions. And they've got, and even if you have just one house, one yacht, you can have a yacht. I mean, okay, like you've made it, have that. Maybe timeshare it with some people. Like, because as it is, like one family, like unless you're out on the water like every single day, it's kind of a waste. You got this really nice fancy boat and you can let other people use it, like, or rent it out, even pay for it. I don't know. But the thing is just like hoarding wealth into small pockets while there's people out there just really struggling. And a lot of it is because of war, because of, unfortunately, indirectly because of us. And I hate that. I actually used to work for an aerospace company, and part of their one division of their company was missiles. And I felt guilty. And then before that, I worked for a company that helped facilitate alcoholism. And my dad died from depression and alcoholism, suicide, just because like he was trying to solve all these problems and didn't really have. I mean, he had support. He was a great leader. He had people that would go to bat for him, like would stand up for him, all this. But at the end of the day, the liquor won. And Trailer Park Boys is a great example of how bad liquor can get with Leahy. And I mean, Leahy's actually passed away, like the real person in real life. And that was really unfortunate. I used to be a huge fan of Trailer Park Boys. I even bought tickets to go see them live, but I was in no position to actually like make it there, and I was drunk all the time too, so it was kind of bad. But yeah. Anyways, back to the religion thing. So I was talking with this guy on Facebook and or person, I don't know who he is, but or who they are, but um, and they were saying that Buddhism predicted the whole elastic universe theory, or I don't know what it's called. That's just what I kind of think of it as. Like if you think about those toys the kids get from like science stores, where you pull on it and it expands, and then you push on it and it contracts, and it's the way that it's built is just like um, it does this. So it's like a bunch of I don't even know what you call them, arms, fulcrums, stuff like that that have the ability to expand. All right, and I think I want to do this because this is kind of funny. We're gonna leave this as a view for all those that pass by. No offense to anyone, but that is just funny. So yeah, we're gonna leave that crevice in the mountain. In fact, I'm probably gonna go explore that. There's probably a lot of valuable resources in there. However, for these purposes, we're gonna continue with this. Look, we're already like running out of stuff. So, anyways, and the reason I dive into religion so much is because it does matter, like terrorism and like extremists, and then the extremists that do it through other ways. Like it doesn't have to just be And at the end of the day, which is worse too? Because like if you're accidentally supporting murder and mass murder, like and if you knowingly do it, see that's the problem is a lot of Americans don't know this stuff. They're just like, oh, haha, it's happening on the other side of the world. It doesn't affect me. And that's not even fair too to be like, haha. We don't sit around and laugh at other people's plight. We worry about this. It drives us nuts. Like our country's dropping bombs on places, and I've had friends in the military had to kill people and all this, and now they're all messed up, and the people that they killed, they're dead. Like so, and all these things, like they don't get a second chance. They don't get a chance to grow old or to figure life out or to go deal with these problems that we're dealing with, first world problems. But I don't know. So we got to fix a lot of problems from the ground up, and it's got to be from the ground up. And that's why I do like Christianity, is because Jesus, their leader, was a poor person, born in a major of parents that had the kid out of wedlock. I mean, it wasn't Joseph's kid. It doesn't matter if it's the Holy Spirit, it was not Joseph's. And so imagine the type of sacrifice that Joseph had to do. Be like, oof. I mean, this could be the Holy Spirit, it could be Dale next door, like we said in that other video, but it's like, I don't know. You just got to have faith. God has a plan. Honestly, I do believe that part a little more, that God has a plan. And by God, I mean whatever created us. It could be an orangutan, like it could be a flying spaghetti monster. It could be just this amorphous blob that just, or in, let's see, Futurama, it's like this nebula. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a nebula out in the middle of space just floating around. That's God. So, yeah, and he makes Bender God, or Bender becomes God because he gets hit with a space rock. He's just floating through space. It's a great episode, but and it's so profound because then he has like little people start growing and developing on him from this space rock. It had life attached to it, and so Bender becomes this floating little planet. Like, and then the people on his stomach are all happy and everything because they actually get to talk to him, or he's aware of them, and so God is present. Then the people on the back, on his backside, feel left out because he's not present. They just, they think they can hear him, but he's never talking to them. And then that, even in that little snippet of like that concept, is so profound because that's what we have for religion here. Is like, no, my religion's correct, yours is wrong. Again, baby with the bathwater. And then you're disrespecting a person's entire heritage, like hundreds, if not thousands of years of their people's way of thinking. And we're all the same people, really. I mean, we just grew up in different neighborhoods around this planet. But once we start like mixing and mingling and like talking to each other, we find quickly that like, oh wait, you're the same as me. Like, the same things bother you, the same things make you happy, like the same things scare you, the same things kill you, the same things protect you. Like it all comes down to that. And then once you have that link of humanity, then it's a lot harder to do a lot of the other things. It's a lot easier to be less lazy about even just the way that you think. Like, I don't know. But it's it's definitely more complicated than that, but I mean, that's a good simple way to look at it. Like, we're all people, we're all out there peopling, and religion is just one more attribute of people being people, like trying to answer questions that they have no idea the answer to. Like, I don't know, this makes enough sense to me that don't fix it. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But and then in Christianity, it worked really well in the beginning because it was a poor person's religion. Like it was meant for poor people. It was meant for people that didn't have a lot, that were struggling, that were like suffering from war or famine or, just trying to survive. And they had this savior, this like, follow me and I will make sure. And for a long time it worked because the church was good about making its promises and like taking care of the poor. I mean, and they still try. It's not that they don't. It's just now we've got a lot of poor being created because of these wars, or from other sketchy tricks too. The war on drugs is the war here in America on its own citizens, making its own citizens in poverty. Or go crazy, like how developmental disorders, like feeling you're not good enough. So then, that begs the question, does God not love you? Like, do you not matter? And then all these other things. And that's why it's dangerous to be too deep into these types of beliefs and faiths, because when you have a bad day, it's almost like, oof, what did I do? Like, but when in reality, a lot of it is just random happenstance. And it's not all about you. It's about maybe someone else was having a bad day and they cut you off, or maybe they were running late for something, or maybe they were worried, or maybe they were worried that their partner was cheating or something, or like, I don't know. In fact, I listened to this segment in the morning to catch a cheater with the Jubal Show. It's a radio show here in Colorado, and I think it's 95.7. Yeah, because I go constantly go between that and 96.1. They're very close together, and they play just popular music. But, anyways, the point of all that is because they constantly catch cheaters. Now, there's different types of cheating too, and marriage counseling and even relationship counseling, like it is important like that. But the people that can afford it, most people can't. Most people just suffer through it best they can. It's hard to communicate. I mean, especially if you have feelings for somebody, you don't really want to tell them, I don't like it when you do this, or I don't like it. So it can be tough to communicate, especially without like a mediator. And we try to bounce things off our friends, and but again, you got a similar problem. Your friends are going to try to support you no matter what. Sometimes your friends can be really true and direct, and I like that. I've had some good friends over the years be like, you know what, you're acting like a prick. You need to chill. Like, they'll be like, okay, I can admit that. And then I go to my partner, my significant other, whoever I'm dating at the time, be like, hey, I was a prick and here's why. I'm sorry. Let's go do something fun. Let's make it right. Or you tell me how I can make it right. And that's the other thing too, is like it has to be consensual for even the everything has to be consensual. You know, the love making, the practicing love making, like especially, and it has to be somewhat sober or both inebriated. And even that, like technically the law states that even if you're both inebriated, I think you can still get in trouble for like sexual assault if you're not careful. And like I don't know. It's one of the things that's a non-issue for me now because I just don't drink. I'm so glad I don't because now it doesn't matter. Even if I use like literally any other of the substances, I could probably function better than being drunk. Like it's ridiculous. Like and alcohol is the true gateway drug. And, you know, and if I knew now or if I knew back then what I know now, I would have never drank in the first place. Been like, this stuff's garbage, dog water. Like, yeah, it feels fun, but oh, every day you drink, you gotta have a day of recovery, possibly 2 days. You feel funky. Like, it's like borrowing your happiness from the next few days and putting it there. Same with other substances, I suppose, sure, but like, if you, I mean, alcohol is almost always involved in that too. Like, I mean, from everybody I've talked to, I've spent a lot of time talking to people that are trying to figure out life's questions, and sometimes they use substances as shortcuts to happiness. And they are too. Like, the actual chemical reaction that happens is you get your endorphins released, or you get your serotonin, like, you know, and your happy chemicals. It's like seeing your baby's face for the first time when they're born, or taking a dump or eating food, all of these things trigger happy chemicals in your brain. Or exercising. Sorry, those are kind of crude examples. Like we went from like a very happy, PG moment to oh, the call of nature. But that's why we're designed that way. Your body is telling you, ah, you did good. And like when you have a kid, ah, you did good. Like you created more for the species. Like that's good for life. We're going to continue to exist. Now, oh geez, this music is getting intense. So, but then that's where religion comes in, because religion was humanity's best attempt at the time to explain what the heck is going on, what is all this, and oh, people act pretty messed up, so we need some kind of like some big brother or big sister type thing to look after us. Like we need some leader to be like, hey, don't pick on those small people, even if they were doing it intentionally or unintentionally. And that's the thing, is like, if you grow up wealthy, like you have this implicit like duty to not be wealthy. I mean, like people find out that you're well off or you have these nice things, they're gonna start doing things like stealing from you or this and that. And I experienced some of that too, unfortunately. Like I seemed to have more than average because I was crafty. Like I was a go-getter, a problem solver, a social engineer, whatever you want to call it. But I always had things. Now I didn't have money, but I could make enough deals and trades and negotiations to where I could have anything I wanted at any given time. Almost. I mean, there were some things you just don't do. Like, and for me, it was meth and heroin. I never, ever, ever intentionally touched those things. That was just like, there's no coming back. Almost everybody that I saw, and then as I think about it now, I do know people that have done both and have been perfectly fine. Like, things, and it's not just the substance, it's what else is going on in their life, either real or perceived. Like, and that's why a lot of times it's religious people committing sex offenses against children. Like it's a hard pill to swallow, but that's the facts. I mean, if you really look it up, like, and it's not a happy thing to look up, but okay, a problem that we need to solve: protect the innocent, protect the children, protect the youth, like, but still let them go out and have fun amongst their peers. Like, that's the thing. And then you get a bunch of bad situations, like unexpected pregnancies and whatnot, if you don't have them have proper coaching. and proper knowledge about what the world is. And the school tries to do good, and then parents might accidentally botch some of that by being overprotective, or I don't want my kid learning about this, and especially the LGBT thing. I mean, and see the transgender thing, that's a whole different thing. I mean, and I know doctors talk to people, transitioning or thinking about transitioning. They have to. You can't just get the chemicals or the medicines to do that, like the, what is it, puberty blockers and testosterone or estrogen, or you're artificially simulating a natural process by introducing these chemicals into your body that are meant for the other sex. And we'll have to say sex because sex means male or female. Gender can be a lot of things. It can be it's more of like an identity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's not unique to America or even English-speaking places. Like India with the hijras has been doing it for a long time, where people might act a little more effeminate or want to be considered more of a woman than a man, like, or just be like maybe they don't want kids, maybe they just want to be there to make people happy or be of service in certain ways, or like, in fact, I think they were prostituting themselves out. Which, and again, that should be totally legal for consenting adults. Like that should be a way that people, but and I don't understand why that isn't. Like, I mean, I get why it's morally looked down upon, and it could lead to some mental problems and stuff. However, I mean, it's still going to happen whether you like it or not. Like one of the biggest things in Grand Theft Auto is, seeing prostitutes walking around or people soliciting. There you go. So, because when you call them a prostitute, you're just like labeling them, and then they become less than people, and all of that. And yeah, wow, we just went way left with all that. But it's all important. You have to look at it at a macro level. You have to be able to see the big picture. Like this. Here. In fact, this is a great way. We're up here, we're up high. Don't die. We can see the farm, the tree farm, the jungle, the riches over there. We can see what we've built, what we haven't built yet. We can see potential over there. Like we have a better perspective, a better view, of overview of everything. Look, I can even see the railway that's in under construction. Like I, I can see a tunnel that I haven't finished building yet. However, you got to be careful not to get too big of a view because you might lose sight of the little things, like where are all the sheep? Where are all the cows? I can't see them from here, but they exist. I know they exist. So yeah, and it's hard. Like it really is hard. I mean, life. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, and that is a sad thing. Like I kind of mean that as a joke, but like suicide and depression and all these things are very real things in America. Like we thought we would be happy with money and riches and things like that and like worldly possessions, but we're not. That doesn't alone make happiness. Now, it definitely doesn't hurt like to have some nice stuff, like, but then what happens if you lose that nice stuff, if it gets lost or whatever? I mean, and then in the end of the day, like, what if you end up losing a loved one? Like, then all of this other nice stuff doesn't seem to matter as much because then it's like, well, crud. I give all that up just to have my friend back or my family member, or whatever. And then, getting and watching the movies like Saw, again, kind of like Dexter. It's a sick franchise, but I really enjoyed it when I was drinking. In fact, my co-parent and I, that was how we did our date nights. We'd watch the Saw movies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And those are just intriguing because of the psychological aspect of it. It's like he takes these people that, for whatever reason, whatever fault of their own, like they don't live to their full potential or they did something sketchy that only Jigsaw knows about. And so then Jigsaw punishes them for not taking advantage of having life. And I don't want to spoil the story for anybody, but you start watching it, you start to kind of side with Jigsaw on some of them. You're like, well, actually, that does kind of make sense. Why were they doing this? Like, and then you're like, oh gosh, did I just say that? Like, because at the end of the day, it is horrendous. Like, he's basically making them either live or die, and even though it's up to them to save themselves, the sacrifices they have to make are just insane. And oof, yeah, it's in fact, even, well, yeah, I don't want to spoil any of that story. It is a great series of movies. If you're old enough, if you're young, then you're going to have nightmares. And although that is kind of a thing, like, I'm not going to go ahead and let my kids watch, Saws, but I wouldn't be against it if they watched them in high school. Like, that would be kind of a thing, like, or to get ready, oh, whoops, to get ready for college or something. Like I think that you know, the whole censorship thing, like once you're in high school, like all it's kind of fair game. Like I mean, you're close enough to college, and then college is like learn everything you can. Like everything's on the table. Like it's your job now to be educated, well-rounded, and a lot of people don't get that. They stay in whatever job they're working in high school. They stagnate. They don't get a lot of that outside thing. But that's changing too. I mean, because not everybody can afford to go to college. In fact, I probably shouldn't have afforded to go to college, but I did. Now I'm straddled with a lot of debt, like everybody. But also, well, I'm better. I'm in a better position than a lot of people still, and I get that. But even further, like people that generally become politicians, they have these safety nets, or they have their parents that can either pay for their college, loan them the money, or even afford the loans, or afford a car, or like there's all these things, reasons why we need to equalize things. Let's see. And now, actually, you know what? Maybe the top layer should just be the rim, because I like this, like having the open sun and the rain. Like, yeah, let's keep it like this. Like that'll be the top layer, and then we'll just continue. Now this is dangerous. We should even maybe keep it like this. Wait, yeah. So this is, or put water down there. There we go. Ah, yes, yes, water. Okay, because if you fall the whole way, like this won't kill you. It's 4 hearts. This won't kill you. It's 4 hearts, but both of them together, actually that wouldn't kill you either, because if it's 8 hearts, it's 22. It's 22 spaces because you got 10 for the column, you've got 1 for the in between, and then 10 for the next column. Whew. Should we try it? No, I don't want to risk that. But water, and so iron, and we're getting close to being done with all this, but I still need to finish that stuff. Like, that was good. We translated the Lord's Prayer into something a little more modern. And that makes sense, too, and I need to, in fact, let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Christianity. Okay. Okay, so, and apologies if this isn't the most enjoyable thing for me, because I feel like I just want to roll my eyes and be like, this doesn't have the answers to everything. In fact, it needs to be updated to fit current times, because it's so ridiculous that we follow rules laid out in the time of donkeys and stuff. Like, not that anything against donkeys, but did God say, hey, maybe you shouldn't be charging people for a service that a robot can do? Or, you know, I mean, basic principles of greed and the seven deadly sins. You could watch Seven if you don't want to read the Bible, and Seven with Brad Pitt and is that Kevin Spacey? It's at least Brad Pitt, but anyways, that explains the seven deadly sins in gruesome detail. But anyways, so the prayer: Our Father who art in heaven, our Creator who isn't close by anymore, because we don't know if it's a man or a woman. Like, I think that was a big accident that really screwed over women throughout history. Like, it just made them lesser vessels and less significant. Even though, even though they create life, they create babies. Like, we don't. Men, we donate some DNA and then we're done. Boom. The women do it. So anyways, our Creator who isn't close by anymore, because otherwise I feel like they would directly, or maybe they can't directly interact with humans. But slavery, famine, wars, all these things, like, they would not happen if God was just sitting up there on a cloud, be like, whoa, wait a minute, don't do that. Because, you know why? I mean, if you believe the Christian belief, God created humans in His image, or their image. So we are, if you believe that, then we are just like Him or her. And I love Dogma for that, because God's a woman in that. And it's like, okay, wow, that's a profound thought. It makes more sense. The creator of life, well, you know. Or maybe God did that. And that's the other thing. These are a lot of maybes. We don't know any of this for sure. We don't have anything or anyone on the other side, like the higher level up, to be like, yep, that's correct, or no, that's not correct. Except for when we die. And then who knows what happens. Or people going, anyways, back to this. Much respect to you. That's it. So, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Okay. As we build and maintain this world, we will continue to show respect to each other and to you. So that's your will. I mean, every religion says be nice to people, don't be pricks. Like that, at the basis of every religion, that's what it says. So, Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses. As we meet our basic needs, let us forgive the shortcomings of others. So, as we continue to live and learn how to get our needs met, like eat food, get shelter, all this stuff, then and then we got to forgive other people for trying to do the same for them. They're stepping on our toes, and as we forgive those who trespass, or forgive us our trespasses. So first, forgive us for our shortcomings. So I did kind of reverse that a little bit. As we forgive those who trespass against us, I say, in fact, maybe I should change that. Please forgive when we trust, or well, whatever. No, this makes sense. As we hope they'll forgive ours when we step on their toes, and other people will step on ours and we'll forgive that to a point. You just can't let people walk all over you because they will. And especially if they don't know they're walking all over you, they will continue to do so. And again, that falls into a vicious cycle of projection and reality. Like, are they really intentionally like, I want to step on this person's toes? It's often no. I didn't realize I was stepping on your toes. My bad. I will not step on your toes. And that's it. Squash. Beef is done. Otherwise, it could fester into a fist fight or even death or whatever. Get back to this. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. Okay. Help us make good choices as we gently guide and keep others accountable. That's it. If we just said it like that, it would make so much sense, and everybody could get on board with this version of the Lord's Prayer, I feel like. Because this one isn't offensive. It's not like, oh, Jesus has all the answers. He's God. Let's worship him. No, he was just a great prophet. At least that's my opinion. Great prophet. Said a lot of things from the ground level, being poor, being raised poor, being born out of wedlock, all of the shame and everything. Like, and he had to be thinking to himself, did mom just sleep around? Or was I really born by God or by an angel? And what difference does it make at this point? Like, do I really need to shame my mother, who is like one of the people that you love the most, and your father? Like, do they really need that shame? No. But do you need to sell a whole story and create a whole religion over it? Maybe not. So, anyways, I got to get to work. Have a happy Thursday, everybody. And I'll try to make this into a short. Basically, I don't know. That's kind of more than a minute talking about it. But yeah, this is the original. This is what I think it should be. And that's just if you ascribe to that. If you're not following Christianity, and you don't have to follow it all the way. You can follow a little Islam, a little Judaism, a little Christianity, and actually a lot of Christianity is built off of Judaism, and a lot of Islam is built at the time of the two, so they have a lot of overlapping ideas. And we'll get to this. I'll ask some questions of my friends who are Islamic or Muslim. I don't have a lot of Jewish friends, so this is going to be harder, but I'll find it. I'll read, I'll Google it. So, ta-ta for now. I will see you in the next one.